Welcome back, folks. So in the last video, we designed this wall with the door in it, 36-inch rough opening by 79, I think, high. Can't quite remember what the directions said. And we also built this wall layout, and we're ready to start designing the window this time. So we'll go a little faster because it's kind of the same concepts as the door, and we'll get these ready to build. All right, here we go. All right, you're going to need your scale, a straight edge, because it's a lot better to draw with the straight edge than it is the scale, a good eraser, and your instructions. All right, let's start by looking at the instructions, make sure I'm not missing anything here. We're designing and building the sidewall. So it says where we place the window is totally up to us, but you have to have a window and a header. Jack studs are the same as the other one, 79 inches long. And notice also that there are jack studs for the sill. That would be here and here. And then we also have these things called cripples on the top and bottom of the window that continue the 16-inch pattern on the top of the window and on the bottom of the window. That way, if a piece of plywood, let's say we go here, well, this one doesn't quite work out, but let's say the plywood's right in the middle and this is where the seam of the plywood is. It still gives us something to nail to. All right, here we go. So let's make a decision as to where we're going to start this thing. And we'll refer to the direction. This time I think I'll work from right to left instead of left to right. And part of that is because I got a glare here from my camera. So I think that'll be easy. And let's plan on using this guy right here as a king stud. So again, we cheat a little bit. We don't, and this happens in building too, where we say, hey, I need a window approximately here. And rather than create a whole new set of jack studs and king studs, we use one that exists. Makes it a little cleaner and also saves a little bit of material money. All right. So what size is our window? We need to know that first. It's a 36-inch high by 48-inch wide window. Okay. So that's going to be really important that we know what our dimensions are, and that we know what the height of the jack studs is. Again, from the top of the bottom plate. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about where we're going to put this. Again, we'll use this as our king stud and work to the left. So somewhere in here is going to be the bottom sill. So we're going to figure that out first. Let's find our 3/4 scale. And let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on this. So we know that the top of the window is going to be 79 inches from the top of the bottom plate. In other words, the jack stud is 79 inches long. 79 inches, 6 foot 7 inches, right? So find the 6 on my scale right here. Put that on the top of the bottom plate, and then it's going to add 7 inches over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is going to be the height of the jack stud or the bottom of the header. Okay, so there's a little mark right there. Now my eraser is going to come in handy later on, so I'm going to go ahead and line this up. Now I could measure to each side, but I'm pretty good at seeing that my ruler is parallel. So I'm going to go starting there and go a little bit beyond 3 studs over. Now again, this is just a faint line that I'm going to erase later. Although at this point, I now know that I'm going to have a jack stud over here against the king stud. Again, be precise I can make this line a little darker because I know that it exists right there. And now it is a 48-inch opening. Okay, so this is kind of going to be important. It's going to be a little weird this time because the this stud is going to kind of get in the way a little bit. Since it's a 48-inch window, 3 times 16 is 48. So we're kind of in the middle of the pattern here. But 4 feet, 48 inches, we're going from the inside of one of the jack studs to the inside of the other. So it's just a little bit outside here, so that works. All right, so again, little mark. This is going to be right there. That's going to be the inside of the jack stud. So now that I know where that is, I can go ahead and make that line right now. You need to remember this is the inside of the jack stud, so it's going from there to there. Now I'm going to make my edge of my king stud. And now I'm going to make the other edge of the king stud. So if the lines are getting confusing to you, you got to know what you're doing here because it looks confusing right now. Oh my gosh, all these lines, what do these mean? But there's a jack stud here. So, oops, see, I messed it up myself. So maybe it helps to erase a little bit in here and know that we're getting rid of some of this. So there's a little gap right here that is kind of hard to see. All right, so now let's double check that we are 48 inches wide. Good. Now we're going to be 36 inches tall. So that's 3 feet. From the bottom of the header to the top of the sill is going to be right here. Now I'm going to show you guys a little trick later on using just a piece of paper for how we're going to deal with all these lines and erasing and everything else. Another little trick to stay parallel is I'll use another ruler, and it's easier. The closer you are, the easier it is to see if you're parallel. And we're going to make our sill all the way across. Now things are starting to get a little bit confusing, so I think I'm going to start erasing some stuff. Again, this is where a good eraser comes in. Now, a little trick is to use just a regular old piece of paper. In this case, it's a 3x5 card, like a cheap little dollar store one, which actually is good because it's a little thinner. And I'm going to cover up, just barely cover up what I want to keep, and then erase what I don't want to keep. So it makes it really clean like that. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. I want to keep that line, so I just barely go over the top of it. Okay, and then we can get rid of other stuff that we don't want, like these lines. All right, cool. Now I think I'll do that on the other side too, because I'm about to draw the sill, and I'll erase just a little bit and I'll redraw some of those lines later. Also helps you be able to see things. All right, now there's going to be a sill right here. Now the camera is picking up these little marks really, really well, but actually when I'm looking at it, it's very hard to see. All right, and then we'll do the same thing at the top where the bottom of the header is. Going across here. So now I've got my sill, I've got my header, 48 inch by 36 inch opening. The header, if you'll recall, is 5.5 inches high, but I think I'll do a little other trick this time to make sure my layout works out well. And I'm going to use my actual header board as a template here. To see where the top of that goes. Now I just barely made a line because I wanted to make a construction line. And that goes from king stud to king stud. And again, use the little paper eraser trick to do that. And now I've got my general window opening. Now there's little jack studs for the sills, jack studs for the sill on each side. On this side, it's pretty easy. Just make one. Now on the other side, there's a little problem because there's a gap that's smaller than a board, and then there's this other piece right here. And so what we're going to do, and this is what we would do in real building, is we're going to remove that piece and just stack them all up, because it's okay if we have solid material more here, but it's not okay if we have less. And we can't just put one here and move this over, because then you're not leaving something to nail to because you always have to have that 16-inch on center pattern. So I'm going to remove this guy. A little tricky here to get my eraser into the right spot. We can always redraw those lines later on. Your precision with your eraser is just as important as your precision with your pencil. Okay, so we're going to put that jack stud in here. And then, because we need to make sure this pattern continues, we're going to put another one right next to it. So yes, you'll have 4 boards in a row, and when we do this in building, we will have 4 in a row. That one I got a little wide on, but that's the way it goes. And finally, I'm going to finish these up and create my cripples. Cripples are what's on the top and the bottom of a window. I don't know why they call them that. I didn't make it up. All right, and last but not least is, of course, just like you did with the last one, make sure it's all clean. Like right now, these lines over here are a little bit light, so I think I'm going to darken those in. You are being graded on neatness and precision, because it all matters. And we're going to make sure things are nice and neat and clean and easily seen, and you're going to sign somewhere across your wall. Okay? Keep honest people honest. All right. So there's the design layout, and next step will be building them. All right. Enjoy. See you soon.